Round 10 of the 2025 Motul FYM Superbike World Championship is the 15th staging of the Tissot Aragon round. The championship has a contract with Motorland Aragon until at least 2027. Next year the round moves to May. This is the final action of the round in September 2025. The longest circuit of the season by almost half a kilometre. The area of this complex is as large as the entire town of Alcañiz. Designed by Herman Tilke, the track boasts some of the highest top speeds of the season, but also 8 corners taken at less than 100 kilometres per hour, including turn 1, the heaviest braking zone here at the end of the 630-metre start-finish straight, where Nicolo Bulliger made 3 passes on Toprak Razgatlioglu for the lead yesterday. From there, the track tightens up through turns 3, 4 and 5, only opening again at turn 7, where Toprak pulled off his race 1 winning move. He also made 2 passes on Nicolo Bulliger at turn 15, where Alvaro Bautista made his overtakes last year. The Ducati is at its best in this final sector in 6th gear down the 968-metre back straight. Bulliger was regularly making 0.4 of a second on the BMW through there yesterday and managed to make his race-winning move in the Superpole race through the final 2 turns earlier on this morning. Race lap record, as you can see, set by Toprak Razgatlioglu in 2024. Welcome back to the town of Alcañiz and to Motorland Aragon ahead of the final action that will bring us to the completion of 30 races in this 2025 World Championship. Pulsating weekend it has been so far, with 1 win apiece for Nicolo Bulliger and Toprak Razgatlioglu. Toprak it was who took race 1 by less than 1/10 of a second, and Razgatlioglu then defeated by Bulliger, bringing an end to his winning run by just over 1/10 of a second in this morning's Superpole race. So, Steve English alongside me. It's 1 apiece. Which of them's going to win this afternoon?
I really don't know at this stage, but I'd still back Toprak in that board. It's quite changeable conditions here though today, and the cloud covers come in, the winds picked up even from this morning, and it is quite different. There's been a forecast of some showers in the area during the course of the afternoon. Probably won't impact us for the Superbike race, hopefully won't impact us for 300s at the end of the day as well. But for the riders, it's just another thing to think about with the changing track conditions.
Yeah, you can have the rain in the 300s, I think. Results of the Superpole race earlier on today. Nicolo Bulliger victorious over Toprak Razgatlioglu. Alvaro Bautista with a fine podium gets up into 3rd place. And behind there, Andrea Iannone coming through for 4th position. And Sam Lowe's rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, and you can see here for the riders making their way to the grid on their signing lap in just about a minute's time, and the conditions, the cloud cover has come in. You can see that just at the top of the screen, but it shouldn't impact us for this race. So everyone now just getting themselves ready to get out there on track. And for Nicolo Bulliger, we were able to see just how hard fought that race victory was in this morning's Superpole race. He's given Tommaso, his crew chief, a good birthday present this weekend, the Tissot Superpole watch, and most importantly, those 12 points this morning. But more than anything else, he stemmed the momentum that Toprak has. The championship battle is very much in Toprak's hand. 41 points means that Toprak just needs to finish second to Bulliger in each race, but he doesn't want to finish second. He wants to fight with him. He wants to challenge against him, and he doesn't want to give an inch. And that's where it was so important for Bulliger to prove that he wasn't going to give an inch either, and he was going to fight back against Toprak all the way through. The race went right down to that last couple of corners. Bulliger, as he has been able to do all weekend, able to hold that tighter line than Toprak through 16 and 17, and Toprak ultimately just doesn't have a way to answer him back, and Toprak's just not able to put his bike on that inside line to take it away from Bulliger, and ultimately Bulliger is able to come across the line and claim the win by 1/10 of a second. And you can see how much it means for Bulliger as he comes across the line, and for Serafino Fatti, and for all of Bulliger's crew.
Yeah, super performance from Nicolo Bulliger. An important confidence booster as much as anything, but it's only 3 points in the World Championship. Toprak Razgatlioglu can still afford to finish second in all of the remaining races this season and be world champion, and it would be a big shock if he didn't win at least some of them.
Yeah, ultimately you have to be very naive to think that there is a championship battle, because Toprak has such consistency and such speed all the way through. This is the best season we've seen from Toprak from a statistical point of view. 19 wins, 25 podiums, podiums, all those points, the wins in a row. That streak might be ended at 13, just like it did last year. But this one feels a bit different because it's ended at least on the racetrack. And for Razgatlioglu, he's now got the chance to go out and try and just give himself some momentum between now and the end of the season and his move to MotoGP. But he's not going to have it easy in this race either, because Alvaro Bautista, starting from the front row of the grid, he was strong in the Superpole race, and we know that he's always better in race 2 than he is in the Sunday morning race.
Alvaro Bautista making his way down pit lane, and he was closing in at one stage around about the 8 laps mark in the Superpole race earlier on. He then faded back as the pace stepped up a notch from Bulega and Razgatlioglu. You would fancy that it's going to take the two of them to really scrap with one another to bring Alvaro Bautista back into the mix. As we see Toprak Razgatlioglu making his way to his machinery again. He can afford second places, but this is a man with the winning touch. He wants to be on the top step of the podium, and he'll be keen to get his revenge on Nicolo Bulega.
Yeah, and in the long race, we saw yesterday just how closely fought that race was. Expect the same for this 18 laps. Hopefully we're able to have the likes of Bautista get into the mix over the duration of it. We saw yesterday Sam Lowes kept that watching brief throughout. He's going to start from the middle of the second row of the grid. It's going to be important for Lowes to make a fast start and give yourself the chance to go with those riders at the front. I thought during the Superpole race it was interesting that we saw the likes of Bulega go with the softer front tyre. Will he do the same in race 2?
Look at the grid then. Nicolo Bulega, pole sitter after the Superpole session, comes away with top spots in the Superpole race as well to lead them off. Toprak Razgatlioglu, second position on the grid. Unfamiliar territory for him. First time he hasn't started on pole since Misano. Alvaro Bautista completing the front row of the grid. He was also third in the Superpole race at the Hungarian round, so his best starting position since then. Alex Lowes on the second row of the grid. He's dropped down 3 places, passed by Sam Lowes as well as Bautista, and Andrea Iannone, 4th position. Race winner here, remember, in race 1 of the Aragon round a year ago, and he now lines up in P4. Third row of the grid, Danilo Petrucci. That's important in the context of the battle for third overall, because he's got Alvaro Bautista starting 4 places ahead of him in P3 with a good shot at big points here. Petrucci needs a damage limitation ride to complete his weekend again. Like in Manicourt, hasn't looked quite at his best, but has still managed to salvage some decent points, particularly in race 1. Meanwhile, Andrea Locatelli starts 3 places behind him in P10.
Yeah, and you can see as we make our way up through the grid now as well, this is where it starts to get exciting now with 15 minutes to go. We've had some great racing across the Superbike races so far this weekend. Super Sports delivered, and then we get to move into the final race of the weekend, and no reason to expect anything other than a couple of riders being in the mix and see who's able to bring the fight to Bulega and to Toprak. And on the basis of what we saw yesterday, there should be plenty of riders in that mix. Big factor in that is the fact that we've got the harder tyre allocation this weekend. It means that you don't have that ultimate performance that you get with the softer tyres, but also it gives you that consistency all the way through as well.
Front row of the grid then sees Nicolo Bulega, Toprak Razgatlioglu and Alvaro Bautista. A second and a first for Bulega, a first and a second for Razgatlioglu. It's Razgatlioglu who has gained points over the course of this weekend so far, but it's only 2 because Bulega pulled back 3 with that victory in the Superpole race. And Bulega will be optimistic of pulling back more in race 2 this afternoon. Yeah,
and for Bulega, that's what he has to do. He needs to make sure that he's able to claim those race wins. That'll give him a lot of confidence going into race 2 this afternoon. But for Nico, he needs to show as well that he's able to back it up in this race as well. He could easily have won yesterday, could have won the Superpole race, and he could be going for that hat-trick. But ultimately, up against Toprak, he's never really beaten until you get across the line.
It has looked as though the Ducati has had the advantage in the balance of power between these two manufacturers. You look at the last 4 rounds, the BMW in the hands of Toprak has been far and away the best combination. This weekend, the Ducati, we know we came into this round with them having won 8 races in a row at this venue, but they are predictably strong, and Toprak Razgatlioglu has actually done very well to take a win and a second so far.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you look at what the Ducati can do around here, it's just got more performance potential than the BMW. But Toprak as a rider is able to overcome that deficit and keep himself in the fight.
We might well have a separate scrap here for 3rd position. That's been the case all season long. But there are three riders here who could all make a case for being able to challenge Bulliger and Razgatlioglu. Alvaro Bautista, winner here, of course, both Sunday races in Motorland Aragon a year ago. Those are his latest race victories, and he now starts from third position after a strong ride in the Superpole race.
Yeah, and for Bautista, we know how good he is in these longer races. We know that he's going to come strong as the race goes on. The first few laps are critical for him, but the first few laps in each race so far this weekend, he hasn't lost a lot of positions, he hasn't lost a lot of ground, so he'll be hopeful that he's able to stay with the two race leaders from the start.
Nicolo Bulliger with another Superpole race victory, won the Superpole race at the Australian round, the Italian round, and now here at the Aragon round, his first victory since race 2 in Most, and much needed as well, having gone 4 rounds without a win and seen Toprak Razgatlioglu rack up 13 consecutive victories. Costly Superpole races for Bulliger in Misano and Balaton Park, each of those costing him 12 points, what might have been for Bulliger without some of the misfortune earlier on this season. Second row of the grid, and 2 more Ducatis who may just be able to make a case for going with the 2 leaders. Andrea Iannone has got better as this weekend has gone on, showed some promise as well as in free practice. 4th position, fighting his way through in the Superpole race, and he's right there now to challenge for the podium.
3 top 6 finishes in the last 4 races as well, so finding that bit of form and momentum as well, and race winner here last year, he'll have a lot of confidence. About
time too, you'd have to say, for Andrea Iannone, whose last podium dates back to race 2 of the Australian round. Sam Lowe's alongside him. Now, Sam was 3rd in race 1, didn't look quite as strong, didn't look quite as confident in the Superpole race earlier on today, still came home in 5th. Good
thing for Sam is starting from the middle of the second row of the grid, he's actually in a better position to attack into turn 1 than he was for the first 2 races of the weekend. We'll see if that has an impact on his performance.
Alongside him, completing the second row of the grid, it's Alex Lowe's, and satisfactory weekend, you'd have to say. On a Bimota, a 5th and a 6th, with the Ducatis all as strong as they've been in those top 6 places. Lowe's will be pleased enough with his effort.
I think if Lowe's can come away with another top 6 finish, then that is a really strong, consistent performance over the course of the last 3 rounds, and I think top 6 is about the most you could expect from the Bimota around this track.
On to the 3rd row of the grid then, Danilo Petrucci, Jonathan Ray and Michael van der Mark. Petrucci with a 4th position finish in race 1, only 7th in the Superpole race earlier on today, so he'll be coming back through from the 3rd row of the grid. There's movement on the grid, and it's time for a little bit of local flavour with the tamboras, the drums here in Alcañiz. Dave Goddard, down to you on the grids.
Thanks, Alex. Yes, I'm with Toprak Razgatlioglu. Toprak, 2 fantastic battles with Nicolo Bulliger so far this weekend. More of the same coming up here.
Yeah, especially Superpole race, we are fighting really hard, and I think everyone will enjoy. But I lose the last corner because I know the Ducati is very strong last corner, and 2 laps before us I'm just try to make a plan, but the last corner we have only 1 or 2 lines, and I'm just choose inside the line, but he's just riding the bike on the dust, but still he's have a good grip. You know, last corner very special for Ducati, but anyway, I'm keep fighting again with BMW, and I think everyone watching again very nice race. We will see who is the winner.
Thanks, Toprak. Good luck.
Thank you.
Toprak Razgatlioglu optimistic of his chances of challenging, but you'd have to say Nicolo Bulliger did seem to find something overnight. He came back that much stronger in the Superpole race earlier on.
Yeah, and Bulliger was stronger than Toprak yesterday as well. It was one of those race wins where Toprak's able to find a way to get it done, but he'll be under pressure in this race.
Third row of the grid, Danilo Petrucci, Jonathan Ray, Michael van der Mark. Jonathan Ray only 13th in race one, went the wrong way on front tyre choice and struggled as a result, lost a lot of positions. But top Yamaha in the Superpole race. Again, there have been signs in the last few rounds that he's starting to understand that package.
Yeah, and especially in the opening laps, he's as combative as ever, and he's been able to make progress into the top 5 in both races as well. So we'll see if he's able to do the same in this race, but it is tough on the Yamaha around this track. We've seen that all weekend.
26 podiums here in Motorland Aragon in his career. Of course, had his 100th win in World SBK here as well in 2021. Completing the third row of the grid, Michael van der Mark, 2 top 10 finishes. I think speaking to him on Friday, he was expecting a little bit more than that, was optimistic that he could continue on the form from Magny-Cours. Chance to make some progress here, though, earned his way onto the third row of the grid.
Used the soft tyre in this morning's race, and he was rewarded for that. In yesterday's race, finished 10th and had good consistency through the race, just gave up too much ground in the first few laps, so we'll see if starting from that third row gives him a better chance.
Row 4, Andrea Locatelli, Remy Gardner and Axel Bersani. Locatelli 7th in race 1 and 12th in the Superpole race, so drops out of the top 9, fails to improve. Locatelli, I think the maximum expectation is probably around 7th place again, when you bear in mind how many independent Ducatis there are at the front.
Yeah, Locatelli has exceeded expectations this year to be 4th in the standings. You'd be surprised if he ends up the season 4th, but very well deserved top 5 in the world.
Remy Gardner in 11th on the grid, suffered an electrical problem that forced his retirement from race 1 yesterday. Only came home in 16th position in the Superpole race earlier on today. So Gardner looking for his first points of the weekend. Has been a tough round for him.
Yeah, it has been a tricky weekend for Remy, and it's been a tricky weekend for Yamaha in general. Like Locatelli in yesterday's race did a good job to be able to get himself into the fight in those leading positions, but this hasn't been a good track for Yamaha this weekend.
Completing the 4th row of the grid, Axel Bersani did a great job to come through from the back of the grid to P8 yesterday, but didn't make quite enough progress in the Superpole race. 11th position for him in that one, so he remains down in 12th position on the grid. 5
riders, though, separated by half a second from Van der Mark down, and that was the scrap for the all-important 9th on the grid spot as well.
So on we go to the 5th row of the grid. Xavi Vierke, Dominic Egerter and Ryan Vickers. And for Xavi Vierke, 9th place finish in race 1, 10th place and just 0.2 of a second away from the top 9 in race 2. Back to, in the Superpole race, I should say, back down on the 5th row of the grid again here.
Yeah, for Xavi, he also used that soft tyre, wasn't able to get himself into the top 9. It's been a weekend where he's actually shown some flashes on the Honda in free practice and been able to put in some good laps, but it's a tricky bike to be able to get the most out of in race conditions. He needs to try and give himself the opportunity just to consolidate with another top 10 finish, and he's up there 8th in the World Championship. He's got a little bit of a margin over Ian One in the standings, 22 points. He needs to try and make sure he's able to hold on to that.
Here is your World Championship leader, Toprak Razgatlioglu. 41 points his advantage over Nicolo Bulliger. Bulliger lining up alongside him, but Toprak won't be thinking about the championship. All of his focus will be on taking a race victory here and pulling those points back on Nicolo Bulliger, gaining his revenge for defeat in the Superpole race. On with row 5, Dominic Egerter alongside Xavi Vierke. Ryan Vickers completes that 5th row. Egerter is clear of his teammate Remy Gardner in the World Championship. Gardner's had a fair amount of misfortune and incidents and so on. Egerter rather goes quietly about his business. 11th place in race 1, unable to improve his grid position here for race 2. Completing that 5th row, Ryan Vickers, 2 14th place finishes for him. Not quite as good as a couple of the rounds we've had on some of the tighter tracks earlier on in the season, but Vickers with a chance of points at least from that 5th row.
Yeah, pretty solid weekend once again, where Vickers has been in that 12th to 15th position for much of the weekend and just trying to give himself a chance of scoring points again in this race.
Been a bit of a disappointing weekend for Garrett Gerloff, 2 15th places for him, and I must admit, given how well he he went here a year ago. I was hoping that he could scratch out some results because he has been good value in recent rounds, particularly when you think back to the end of the weekend in Misano. Donington Park, where he was never out of the top 8. Balaton Park had good speed. A little bit disappointing with only 5 points in Manicourt last time out, and he is yet to score here in Aragon this weekend. As the safety car pulls away, 3 minutes until the warm-up lap gets underway. Down to you, Dave Goddard.
Yes, down at Ducati with team principal Stefano Cecconi. Stefano, a fantastic Super Pole race earlier on, ending Toprak's run of victories. The team must be overjoyed.
Yeah, an incredible show for all the fans, for all the audience. A little bit hard for us to manage heart-wise, but amazing show.
Fantastic. Best of luck for another victory in this one.
For this race we will try to pull away, but I think we will see the longer version of this morning.
Great stuff. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
The longer version of this morning, or the second version of what we saw yesterday. But either way, I'm looking forward to another great head-to-head between the two heavyweights of this season in particular, but also the final stages of last season too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to more of the same in this race, and no reason to expect anything other than that.
Taz McKenzie here, lining up on the 6th row of the grid, alongside Garrett Gerloff and Jari Montella. Double long lap penalty to serve here for Jari Montella. Caused a crash during the Super Pole race earlier on today. We saw it briefly at the end of the show, so that was the outcome of that. Row number 7, Bahatin Sofoglu, Tito Rabata, Michael Ruben Rinaldi, Tommy Bridewell and Zakwan Zaidi completing your 23-rider field. Here is the run of the tape then. Toprak Razgatlioglu versus Nicolo Bulliger. Toprak 10 wins and 41 points ahead. 1 pole position, and they're equal in terms of podiums, but it's the top step of the podium that is the most coveted this afternoon in Aragon. Toprak Razgatlioglu in race 1, then Nicolo Bulliger in the Super Pole race have taken their first victories here in Motorland. Who'll be the first to a second? We're about to find out. Nicolo Bulliger versus Toprak Razgatlioglu in the 30th race of this 2025 Motul FIM Superbike World Championship. $25 podiums apiece for Nicolo Bulliger and Toprak Razgatlioglu in 29 races this season. The difference between them, some 41 points, comes down to race wins. Toprak on 19 this season, Bulliger on 9. Bulliger's waited 5 rounds to take what is his 15th World SBK victory, ending Toprak's run of 13 wins. Now he is chasing his first back-to-back victories since Cremona. Alex Raby and Steve English for race 2 of the 2025 Tissot Aragon round. The first time since Moss that Bulliger has even had the chance to beat Toprak. And what remains of this weekend is a chance he can't afford to waste.
Yeah, we saw Toprak and